Alright you lot, welcome to the channel where I tackle tough topics that are driving you gamers mad. And today we're diving headfirst into the cesspool that is toxicity in gaming. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Bile that floods your screen when some 12-year-old screeches in your ear after you dare to play a game. So sit back, grab a brew, and let's figure out how we can all stop being complete arseholes online, eh? But before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. It helps the channel grow. Now let's get to it. So let's get real for a second. Toxicity in gaming isn't just that occasional jab from your mate cause you missed a shot in XDefiant. Nah, it's full on verbal assault that happens when you're just trying to enjoy a match in Call of Duty or Battlefield. We're talking about kind of rage that makes you wonder if half the people online need a nice long nap. Or some serious therapy. It's not just shooters either, though they seem to breed most delightful types, don't they? Just hop into a match or Overwatch and if your healer misses 1 second of healing, suddenly it's like you've personally insulted someone's mum. People go from zero to complete belling faster than a COD match loads. And that's saying something against there to some of these servers. Why is this happening, you ask? Well, it's a lovely cocktail of anonymity, competitive pressure and lack of accountability. You slap a headset on, hide behind a username like DartSniper69, and suddenly all social rules go out window. When you're not face to face with someone, it's a lot easier to tell them to suck, or worse, we are a caring world. Now let's dig a little deeper into why people become raging arseholes online. It's not like they wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and think, today I'm gonna ruin someone's evening. Well, maybe some do, but that's another problem entirely. A big part to it is competitive pressure. Gaming, especially in shooters like XDefiant, Call of Duty and Battlefield, puts you in heat at battle. And losing's never fun, but for some reason when people feel like they're failing instead of, learning and improving, they just start lashing out. It's like they think insulting the teammates will magically improve their aim. Spoiler alert, it won't. Then there's anonymity. Online gaming gives people freedom to say what they'd never dare in person. Same logic that turns people into road raging maniacs behind wheel. No immediate consequences for being a dickhead. In real life, they might think twice before calling someone a brain-dead noob, but online, they're untouchable. Hidden behind a gamer tag and an avatar, they feel invincible. And let's not forget the lovely boost of social reinforcement. These toxic behaviours often go rewarded, or at least go unchallenged, because others are too busy trying to play, or worse, join in. When toxicity spreads, it's like a virus. One person starts raging and suddenly everyone's chiming in like a pack of rabid hyenas. So how do you deal with them? You could tell them to sod off, but that usually just fuels fire. Instead, let's look at some actual strategies that don't involve sinking to their level. Because trust me, once you're in muck with them, you're not getting out clean. Mute button. Yeah, it's basic, but it works. The moment you sense someone's about to turn into a toxic little gremlin, just mute them. Call of Duty has one, Overwatch has one, hell, pretty much every game does. They can't shout into your ear about how you missed that sniper shot. They lose half the power. Then there's reporting. Might feel like chucking a stone into ocean, but developers are starting to take this more seriously. Games like XDefiant and Overwatch have systems in place where toxic players can be flagged, and repeated offences can get them booted from server or banned. Sure, it doesn't solve the problem overnight, but if more people reported these clowns, maybe they'd think twice before spewing garbage in the next match. Now if you're feeling really zen and want to level up your karma, there's always option to diffuse situation. Sometimes calling out toxic behaviour in a calm way can shock rager into silence. You don't have to engage with the nonsense. A simple, mate, it's just a game, let's focus on winning, can stop a full-on tirade dead in its tracks. But honestly, that depends on how much patience you've got left. And I wouldn't blame you if it's running thin. So what's the solution to all this toxicity? Do we just keep muting and reporting until we've silenced every raging knobhead on the internet? Tempting as that sounds, there's a bigger picture here. If we want gaming communities, whether it's XDefiant, Call of Duty or Battlefield, to be less toxic, we've got to start promoting a more positive environment ourselves. First up, we need to lead by example. Yeah, I know it sounds like somewhat out of a cheesy self-help book, but hear me out. Next time someone's being a toxic twat in your game, don't feed into it. If you stay calm, crack a joke or keep things light, it helps set tone. It's contagious and not in a way toxicity is. More positive energy you put out, more likely others are to chill the hell out. Then there's community accountability. Games like Overwatch and XDefiant are starting to rely more on players to report bad behaviour, and even to commend good behaviour. That's right, you can actually give a shout out to players who were respectful, fun to play with, or just didn't act like an ass. It's amazing how far a little positive reinforcement can go. You don't have to be Gandhi, but throwing a compliment out now and then won't kill you. We also need to demand better from game developers. They've got to keep improving the tools to deal with toxicity. Some games are already stepping up. Overwatch has the endorsement system. XDefiant is working on moderation tools. And more devs are talking about stricter bans for repeat offenders. If companies making these games know that the players actually want a decent community, they'll keep pushing in the right direction. At the end of the day, if we all act like decent human beings and support developers in creating better communities, we might just stand a chance at making online gaming a bit less of a hellhole. Let's look at some prime examples of how toxicity has taken root in some of the most popular shooter games, shall we? Because no drives a point home better than dragging some big names through mud. First off, Call of Duty. This game is basically poster child for toxic behaviour. Jump into any multiplayer lobby and within 5 minutes you'll hear enough slurs, insults and general nonsense to last a lifetime. It's become so infamous that players almost expect it, as if COD lobbies are some lawless wasteland where civility went to die. Even though Modern Warfare 2 introduced stricter voice moderation tools, there's still plenty of work to be done. It's like putting a plaster on a gunshot wound at this point. XDefiant, on the other hand, still in its early stages, but it's already started to see its fair share of toxicity. You got usual suspects, keyboard warriors who rage over missed objectives or bad teammates. But here's where it's different. Dev team is taking a proactive approach. They've built foundation for moderation tools from get-go, and they're listening to the community. Imagine that. Developers who actually give a toss about how players treat each other. It's like a breath of fresh air. Overwatch is another fascinating case. Blizzard's introduced systems like endorsements to reward good behaviour, but that don't mean it's all rainbows and sunshine. You still get toxic teammates screaming about missed heals or blaming the entire team for their own crap positioning. However, Blizzard at least seems to be making an effort to push back against tide of negativity, and that's more than can be said for some. Finally, there's Battlefield, which has always been a bit of a mixed bag. On one hand, you've got large-scale battles where teamwork is essential, but on other, anonymity of so many players means you're bound to come across a few absolute tossers. Toxicity into as large as COD, but it's lurking in shadows, waiting to strike when you least expect it. Usually when you've just died for the 17th time trying to capture the same bloody point. These games show us that no matter how big or small title, toxic behaviour can creep in if left unchecked. And while some are trying to combat it, battle ain't over yet. Right, let's address big question. Why is it so important to stop toxicity? I mean, gaming's always had a bit of banter, right? Sure, there's a massive difference between having a laugh with your mates and being a raging bellend to strangers online. This culture of toxicity is turning what's supposed to be fun into a cesspit of stress and frustration. And it's driving people away from games they'd otherwise love. For starters, toxicity can straight up ruin experience for new players. Imagine trying to get into Overwatch or XDefiant for the first time, only to be met with a torrent of abuse cause you're still learning ropes. Who the hell wants to stick around for that? We've all had to start somewhere, but current state of things make it impossible for newcomers to enjoy the learning curve without someone breathing down the neck calling them useless. It creates a barrier for entry. And eventually community shrinks. Then there's mental toll it takes. You might think, it's just words, who cares? But when you're exposed to constant negativity game after game, it wears you down. A hobby that's meant to be relaxing becomes stressful. You dread joining matches cause you know you're one bad round away from some rage-fueled player telling you to uninstall game or questioning your entire existence. It's draining and can affect your enjoyment and mental health over time. Lastly, toxicity fractures very foundation at community in these games. Online multiplayer is built on idea of cooperation and competition, but how are we supposed to grow as a community if everyone's out for blood and throwing tantrums at every mistake? When people actually support each other and work together, games become more enjoyable for everyone. Toxicity might feel like it's here to stay, but it's only cause we've let it fester for so long. It's time we take a stand and start pushing for that positive change. Whether it's by muting, reporting, or just being a decent human being, power to stop toxicity is in our hands. So if you made it this far, congratulations. You've survived my rant about why we need to ditch toxic bollocks in gaming. Now it's over to you. What do you reckon? Think we can turn this ship around? Or are we all doomed to live in the salty sea of rage? Smash that like button, hit subscribe and leave your comments and questions below. I might just feature them in a video. I'll see you next time, you magnificent